Joshua 4. When all the nation had fully passed over the Jordan, the Lord said to Joshua, "Take 12 men from among the people, one man out of every tribe, and command them, take 12 stones out of the midst of the Jordan, from the place where the priest's feet stood firm. Carry them over with you and leave them at the place where you lodge tonight." Then Joshua called the 12 men of the Israelites whom he had appointed, a man from each tribe. And Joshua said to them, "Pass over before the ark of the Lord your God in the midst of the Jordan, and take up every man of you a stone on his shoulder, as is the number of the tribes of the Israelites, that this may be a sign among you when your children ask in time to come, 'What do these stones mean to you?' Then you shall tell them that the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord when he passed over the Jordan." The waters of Jordan were cut off, so these stones shall be to the Israelites a memorial forever. And the Israelites did as Joshua commanded, and took up 12 stones out of the midst of the Jordan, according to the number of the tribes of the Israelites, as the Lord told Joshua, and carried them over with them to the place where they lodged and laid them down there. And Joshua set up 12 stones in the midst of the Jordan, in the place where the feet of the priest bearing the ark of the covenant had stood, and they are there to this day. For the priest who bore the ark stood in the midst of the Jordan until everything was finished that the Lord commanded Joshua to tell the people according to all that Moses had commanded Joshua. The people passed over in haste. When all the people had passed over, the ark of the Lord and the priest went over in the presence of the people. And the sons of Reuben, Gad, and half the tribe of Manasseh passed over, armed before the other Israelites, as Moses had bidden them. About 40,000 of these prepared for war passed over before the Lord to the plain of Jericho for battle. On that day, the Lord magnified Joshua in the sight of all Israel, and they stood in awe of him as they stood in awe of Moses all the days of his life. And the Lord said to Joshua, order the priest bearing the ark of the testimony to come up out of the Jordan. So Joshua commanded the priest, come up out of the Jordan. And when the priest who bore the ark of the covenant of the Lord had come up out of the midst of the Jordan, and the soles of their feet were lifted up to the dry land, the waters of the Jordan returned to their place and flowed over all its banks as they had before. And the people came up out of the Jordan on the 10th day of the first month and encamped in Gilgal on the east border of Jericho. And those 12 stones which they took out of the Jordan, Joshua set up in Gilgal, and he said to the Israelites, when your children ask their fathers in time to come, what do these stones mean? You shall let your children know Israel came over this Jordan on dry ground. For the Lord your God dried up the waters of the Jordan for you until you passed over, as the Lord your God did to the Red Sea, which he dried up for us until we passed over. That all the peoples of the earth may know that the hand of the Lord is mighty, and that you may reverence and fear the Lord your God forever. Joshua 5. When all the kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan to the west, and all the kings of the Canaanites who were by the sea, heard that the Lord had dried up the waters of the Jordan before the Israelites, until we had crossed over. Their heart melted, and there was no spirit in them anymore because of the Israelites. At that time, the Lord said to Joshua, "Make knives of flint and circumcise the new generation of Israelites as before." So Joshua made knives of flint and circumcised the sons of Israel at Gibeath Haaraloth. And this is the reason Joshua circumcised them. All the males of the people who came out of Egypt, all the men of war, had died in the wilderness on the way after they came out of Egypt. Though all the people who came out were circumcised, yet all the people who were born in the wilderness on the way after Israel came out of Egypt had not been circumcised. For the Israelites walked 40 years in the wilderness till all who were men of war who came out of Egypt perished. Because they did not hearken to the voice of the Lord. To them, the Lord swore that He would not let them see the land which the Lord swore to their fathers to give us, a land flowing with milk and honey. So it was their uncircumcised children whom He raised up in their stead, whom Joshua circumcised, because the rite had not been performed on the way. When they finished circumcising all the males of the nation, they remained in their places in the camp till they were healed. And the Lord said to Joshua, "This day have I rolled away the reproach of Egypt from you." So the name of the place is called Gilgal, rolling to this day. And the Israelites encamped in Gilgal, and they kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month at evening in the plains of Jericho. And on that same day, they ate the produce of the land, unleavened cakes and parched grain, and the manna ceased on the day after they ate the produce of the land. And the Israelites had manna no more, but they ate of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year. When Joshua was by Jericho, he looked up, and behold, a man stood near him with his drawn sword in his hand. And Joshua went to him and said to him, "Are you for us or for our adversaries?" And he said, "No, neither. But as Prince of the Lord's host have I now come." And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and worshipped, and said to him, "What says my Lord to his servant?" And the prince of the Lord's host said to Joshua, "Loose your shoes from off your feet, for the place where you stand is holy." And Joshua did so. Now Jericho, a fenced town with high walls, was tightly closed because of the Israelites. No one went out or came in. And the Lord said to Joshua, "See, I have given Jericho, its king, and mighty men of valor into your hands. You shall march around the enclosure, all the men of war going around the city once. This you shall do for 6 days. And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns. And on the 7th day you shall march around the enclosure 7 times, and the priest shall blow the trumpet. When they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and you hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the enclosure shall fall down in its place, and the people shall go up over it, every man straight before him. So Joshua, son of Nun, called the priest and said to them, "Take out the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord." He said to the people, "Go on, march around the enclosure, and let the armed men pass on before the ark of the Lord." When Joshua had spoken to the people, the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns passed on before the Lord and blew the trumpet, and the ark of the covenant of the Lord followed them. The armed man went before the priest who blew the trumpet, and the rear guard came after the ark, the priest blowing the trumpets as they went. But Joshua commanded the people, "You shall not shout or let your voice be heard, nor shall any word proceed out of your mouth until the day I tell you to shout. Then you shall shout." So he caused the ark of the Lord to go around the city once, and they came into the camp and lodged in the camp. Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priest took up the ark of the Lord. And the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord passed on, blowing the trumpets continually, and the armed man went before them, and the rear guard came after the ark of the Lord, the priest blowing the trumpets as they went. On the 2nd day, they compassed the city enclosure once and returned to the camp. So they did for 6 days. On the 7th day, they rose early at daybreak and marched around the city. As usual, only on that day they compassed the city 7 times. And the 7th time, when the priest had blown the trumpet, Joshua said to the people, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city, and the city and all that is in it shall be devoted to the Lord for destruction. Only Rahab and Harlot and all who are with her in her house shall live, because she hid the messengers whom we sent." But you keep yourselves from the accursed and devoted things, lest when you have devoted it to destruction, you take of the accursed thing, and so make the camp of Israel accursed and trouble it. But all the silver and gold and vessels of bronze and iron are consecrated to the Lord. They shall come into the treasury of the Lord. So the people shouted, and the trumpets were blown. When the people heard the sound of the trumpet, they raised a great shout, and Jericho's wall fell down in its place, so that the Israelites went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. Then they utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both men and women, young and old, ox, sheep, and donkey, with the edge of the sword. But Joshua said to the two men who had spied out the land, "Go into the harlot's home and bring out the woman and all she has, as you swore to her." So the young man, the spies, went in and brought out Rahab, her father and mother, her brethren, and all that she had. And they brought out all her kindred and set them outside the camp of Israel. And they burned the city with fire and all that was in it, only the silver, the gold, and the vessels of bronze and of iron they put into the treasury of the house of the Lord. So Joshua saved Rahab the harlot with her father's household and all that she had, and she lives in Israel even to this day, because she hid the messengers whom Joshua sent to spy out Jericho. Then Joshua laid this oath on them: "Cursed is the man before the Lord who rises up and rebuilds this city, Jericho, with the loss of his firstborn. Shall he lay its foundation, and with the loss of his youngest son shall he set up its gates." So the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame was in all the land. Hi, precious mom. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much for sharing this precious time together. May God's peace, love, blessings be always with you. God bless you. Thank you. Good night.